Welcome to Analyst Talk with Jason Elder. It's like coffee with an analyst, or it could be whiskey with an analyst reading a spreadsheet, linking crime events, identifying a series, and getting the latest scoop on association news and training. So please don't beat that analyst and join us as we define the law enforcement analysis profession one episode at a time.
Thank you for joining me. I hope many aspects of your life are progressing. My name is Jason Elder, and today our guest has 5 years of law enforcement analysis experience. She's an analyst with the Ministry of National Security, Jamaica. She is also the chairperson of IALEIA's Emerging Professionals Group. She's here to talk about, among other things, how to play netball. Please welcome Vanessa Wilson. Vanessa, how are you doing?
Hi, Jason. Thank you for having me. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Yes. Now we're gonna really bury that lead because I mentioned netball. Now everybody's like, "What's netball?" But we're gonna get there. We'll talk about that at personal interest. But how is Jamaica these days?
Jamaica is good. Pretty warm outside today. Weather is good. Everything is good. All festive.
See, in the States here, everybody's feeling it. Everybody's feeling good. It's August and it's warm in most of the country. But then, oh man, another 3 months down the road, oh, you get November, December, January. Oh, and most of the country is so cold. And then Jamaica, not so much. It's
Not
about
so
the same.
cold.
Yeah,
We
it's
get to
about the
enjoy.
same temperature year round, right?
Yes, it is, and we get to enjoy the beach all year round.
Oh man, so jealous. See, everybody's feeling good now, but come February, they'll be like, oh. All right. So, how did you discover the law enforcement analysis profession?
I've been an analyst for almost 5.5 years. Prior to being an analyst, I was an administrator or a program coordinator at a university in Jamaica. I was not really familiar with what the roles of an analyst were or what the job or profession was about.
Mhm.
What's funny is that when I did the interview for the job to be an analyst, I never knew what exactly I was getting myself into. So I would say that the law enforcement field discovered me.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, did you apply for the position? Did somebody recommend you to the position? How did it even get on your radar?
I was recommended.
Huh.
A friend recommended me, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
It
So
seems like the
what?
stars kind of aligned for me.
Yeah. So, what do you think your skills were, or I mean, the interview? What do you think you brought to the table that got you the job?
Pretty much my experience before was in admin, but
Hmm.
I believe that I am an organized person, a team player.
Hmm.
I'm confident. I was doing presentations, and also my education background, I would have done a BSc in psychology and criminology. And I think my previous experiences, whether life or through work, kind of aligned me for the role pretty much.
So when you're going to school for psychology and criminology, what's your goal then? What were you thinking that you were going to be once you graduated?
Well, I was thinking I would be a psychologist. I'll do
Hmm.
my PhD in psychology and become a licensed psychologist,
Hmm.
but that changed when I discovered the profession.
Oh, all right. Derail you. See, it's so good that
Yeah.
you're like, hey, skip this. Yeah, no more reading and writing all these textbooks and papers. I'm going to analyze crime. All right.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, when you think about this profession and you think about what it takes, obviously there's the technical skills that are involved with working with data and understanding data. But I also think a big part of it is the networking and being resourceful that way and being able to just go up to somebody and start talking to them and talking to a variety of different people to help solve the problem, whatever the problem may be. And so these are where the interpersonal skills come into play. And I'm just talking with you, I can just understand. You talked about the confidence, you talked about the interpersonal skills there. And I think that's a couple of things that helped you get the job.
Yes, definitely. And being able to have an open mind coming to a new space and being able to adjust or adapt to change.
Mm-hmm.
That's also important.
Yeah. So when the first couple of days you're starting, as you mentioned, it discovered you. So you're walking in for the first couple of days, maybe the first couple of weeks. As you look back at that time, what are some things that stick out? What do you remember as you're just really new to this whole thing?
At first, I was kind of puzzled about what exactly I'll be doing, but
Mm-hmm.
interestingly, the very first week was integral because that was when we did the FIAT, the Foundations of Intelligence Analyst training offered by IALEIA. So that was my first step into the door for analysis. It was a week, 40 hours long course training, and I think it prepared me for what to expect entering the job.
Gotcha. I gotcha. So that's interesting that the first week on the job here, go to training. So that's good that you were exposed to that. So as an analyst, you can have a variety of focuses, right? Some
Mhm.
are focused on case support, some are focused on problem areas, some are focused on administrative analysis, strategic planning. Where do you fit in those spectrums?
So in general, we investigate all major crimes affecting Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
economic crime, major organized crime, cybercrime, corruption, etc.
Okay.
There is, or cases may overlap into other areas. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no specific area of focus, but just under these topics that I would have mentioned. And it's mainly strategic and tactical analysis.
Okay. And do you enjoy the strategic portion or the tactical portion better?
I enjoy all of it.
Yeah. Good answer.
Yes, I do.
All right. So then, are you the only analyst at the time when you were hired? Are you the only analyst, or how many analysts do you have at your department?
I wasn't the only one who started. It was a group of us. We are still growing. I cannot give you an exact figure, but we are a growing group.
I got you. And then were there analysts before you started? So you have this cohort that just started, and then you started with the
Yes.
Fiat training. Were you all the first that the department had?
No, we weren't the first. So we had
Or-
cohorts before us.
Oh, okay. Can you give us maybe a little bit just generally? Obviously, you can't talk about active cases, and you don't want to talk about too much details, but just kind of give us a general understanding of some of the tactical work that you do.
I don't know if I can give an example, but what I can say is I have experienced some professional wins that I'm very proud of, but
Mhm.
my bad story is not any specific case, but are the lessons I get to take away from every experience, whether good or bad. These lessons are patience is key. Sometimes things don't happen as quickly as you want them to, but it is important that you stay the course and trust the process. The work that you produce is a representation of you. If you are not in the room to explain your work,
Mhm.
you should ensure that it represents you well. I also learned that we do not know everything and we will not know everything. So it is important to ask questions and it's okay to seek help. And finally, a win is a win, no matter how small it may seem. Every small win impacts the bigger picture.
Win is a win. I like that. So I guess in terms of your role, and you're fairly new to the analyst role, to the department, and how was it just being acclimated to maybe more seasoned folks at the department, seasoned investigators, senior officers? How was that process of getting acclimated and working with existing members of the department?
So the transition was smooth.
Hmm.
Initially, when we started as a cohort, we weren't a part of or we weren't, I'd say, mixed for lack of a better word, with the
Hmm.
more seasoned analyst as yet. So we had our
Hmm.
time where we got to learn what we needed to do, what would be our requirement, what would be required of us, and then we were able to transition to the group with the more seasoned analysts. We had team leaders who were there before us to kind of guide us in where we needed to go, what we needed to do, how best things are to be done. And we also had supervisors who monitor the process. So the transition was easy.
All right, well, that's good to hear. Good to hear. So then let's talk a little bit about fiat. I was going to talk about fiat in the back end when we got to the IALEIA section, but I think it's important to this conversation right now because, as you mentioned, you're new to the department, and the first week that you have is with that fiat class. So for those that maybe not familiar with the fiat training, it is 5 days, and it goes over lots of different topics. I mean, multiple topics throughout the whole entire week. So is there a particular topic or topics that you feel now looking back on it that really resonated with you, that you really think you got a lot out of?
Well, first of all, overall, I have to say that I appreciate what Fiat did. I would have mentioned that prior to being an analyst, I never knew what the field entailed or what would be required of me. So coming into Fiat, you would have mentioned it was 5 days program. It was intense. We had cases, case-based studies. We had presentations, and we got to interact with a group of people who we were just getting to work with. So building teams. So for me, the takeaway was not any like specific topic or area, but it was the ability to not just show up for lectures, but being able to apply these lectures, being able to speak, being able to present, being able to understand how to apply or what we've learned to cases and how we would approach these things. I wouldn't necessarily take away anything from it. I'd say it's useful for me at times to go back to the things that I learned back in the fiat, and they're still applicable to what I do today on a daily basis.
Yeah, I do like that it gives you just a little bit of understanding on a variety of topics, but then they supply additional information should you have interest in any one topic in particular. When you took the class, were they still doing mostly pen and paper? So when you did your presentation, you were doing it on basically poster paper and whatnot, and stencils and rulers and whatnot?
It's been 5 years. I remember the exact thing, but I know we were provided with supplies for all that we needed, and then we had our presentations on screen. It was useful for the time that we had it, and it was very organized, and we had some very good instructors. They were really, really available to us. I don't think anything was taken away or from however it was structured at the time when we had it.
Yeah. No, it's a question I hear from time to time from folks is some people get really annoyed if you ask them to do something that they feel should be done by a computer. And so like in training a lot of times we're going to make sure that you understand what's really going on. So we're going to take away the computer and we're going to do it by hand. And man, does that really irk certain people?
I can't speak to what's happening now, but I know for the time when I did it, I think the group was very enthused about what's going on. I believe we were all new and excited from the jump. So I don't think anything was taken away from what was given at the time.
Yeah, no, I do think the presentation portion is really a big portion of that fiat problem. There is a test, and I was a fiat instructor for I want to say about 3 or 4 years in the early 2000s, and I really enjoyed the presentations. Maybe it's because at that point I was just sitting back and watching, but it was interesting from the whole entire week to see the teams come together and present their findings and apply what they had learned.
Yeah, I think that was a very good takeaway. I know it must be evolving, and it was a very good experience for me. That's what I can say from all of it.
As you evaluate your position now, is there certain training that you're looking to get, or is there certain things that you're looking to learn to help improve what you do on a day-to-day basis?
So I am now a prospect to complete the certification that is the Criminal Intelligence Certified Analyst CICA. That's also offered by IALEIA. I
Hmm.
know, so we had the foundation, but it's important to build on the foundation, and the certification is available, and I intend to complete that.
Nice.
Amongst other courses, I know that this is a profession that is growing and evolving. So if you search the internet, you'd see several courses, training events happening all over the world. I've been lucky to also have done there was this advanced financial analyst course that's also offered by IALEIA. I was able to complete that. It was very useful. It was very useful for me as well. But there are other things that can be done. So analysts in the field, there are a wide array of things available for you to choose from, not just under IALEIA, but other associations. But I'm looking to get certified.
Hmm. So I guess talking just about Jamaica as a whole, what are some of the typical crimes or typical characteristics of the criminals that you are studying? Obviously, there's probably a drug trade and certain types of drugs. Just kind of go over a little bit some of the crimes. Obviously, for most people probably listen to this have never been to Jamaica, and so just looking for a general understanding of what the crime is like there in Jamaica.
I'm not equipped to give statistics if you want statistics, but
Yeah.
I know murder is a big problem here in
Hmm.
Jamaica. That would be, I would believe, the main thing that we're
Hmm.
trying to put under control.
How about drugs? What is there a
All
drug
right,
of choice there?
so generally, I
Hmm.
believe that all the main crime types that we know of, so drugs, murder, theft, all the major crime types that would affect the world
Hmm.
is affecting Jamaica. Drugs is a problem that Jamaica is at a strategic location for the shipment of cocaine and also marijuana. So that is also a problem for us in Jamaica.
Hmm. Now, is there, I guess, crime types or types of criminals that may be unique to Jamaica, or maybe even unique to
Unique,
the Caribbean?
I'm not sure I understand in terms of unique.
So maybe it's something you would see as an analyst. You're going to see that in Jamaica because maybe it's an island, or maybe it's in the Caribbean, or maybe it's just the the activity that goes on in Jamaica, as opposed to if you were in Nebraska, you're not going to see that.
I wouldn't say our crime is unique. I
Hmm.
think on a global scale, the things that are affecting the world are is also affecting us because of we are more aware and alert of what's going on in the world. For example, cybercrime is a problem in Jamaica. So it's not a case where I would not say that
Hmm.
or there's anything unique about our crime situation.
Hmm.
I'm saying that what is affecting everybody is also affecting us.
Hmm. All right. Let's go. I move on to IALEIA then. You are the chairperson for the Emerging Professionals Group, and
Hey.
I believe that's a fairly new group for IALEIA. So let's just, for those that may have never heard of this group, let's just talk about specifically what this group is and what's the goals of this group.
So in 2023, IALEIA officially launched the Emerging Professionals Group. I call it the EPG. I
Hmm.
have been a part of the committee since its inception, and I'm honored to serve as the current chair for the committee. I must take the opportunity to thank my predecessor and also the standing committee for the tremendous work they have been doing to keep us going. EPG is an initiative that seeks to support individuals who are new or relatively new to the profession. So when I started, I did not know about analysis. I did not know about the field of analysis. So what EPG does is brings persons together in the profession who are new to the field of analysis, and we're trying to help them to understand or to navigate the space, professional development, networking. We currently offer monthly lunch and learn webinars from persons who are experts in the field. And we also allow for members who want to give presentations to build their presentation skills, but
Oh,
really how to navigate their space as a new analyst. So it doesn't matter your age or where you're coming from. If you are new to the field of analysis, this is a space where we get together to understand each other, understand the problems we're facing as new analysts. How do we navigate the space? How can we grow as an analyst? How can we develop leaders through this process? And as I would have mentioned, we're still new and we're evolving. So there's still room for growth and there's still room for development. But what we are trying to achieve is getting our new analysts to verbalize what it is that they are lacking as new analysts. How can we serve you as new analysts? What you need, what is lacking? How can we help you? That's really what we're about. That's really what we're about for EPG.
All right, good. And your predecessor was Naomi, right?
Yes, yes.
So you mentioned that you're getting perspective from newer analysts, and I'm curious, what are some of the things these newer analysts are telling you that they need help with? What are some examples?
Some of the things that they would mention is understanding how to transition in terms of moving from basically certification. How do you get certified? How can you grow as an analyst? How can you expand in the field? How can you move from maybe being a strategic analyst to a tactical analyst? How do they differ? How do they work together? How does the process work? Yes, and really just understanding how people in other areas get their jobs done. How can that help us in where we are now? Yes.
That's so interesting as I look back at my own career when I first started, because I didn't know what I didn't know. So I was a sponge, and I just would have signed up for all the training I could, and I would talk to as many people as I could and listservs and throughout the department that I worked. And because I didn't know what I didn't know, it just kind of like a fishnet approach. I just like threw out there and see what I got, see what stuck, see what I understood. And there's a point in time there where you kind of find your footing and you get an understanding of your role and what you're supposed to be doing. I feel that level, that training, that level, it kind of plateaus off. Right? In the beginning, you're hungry, you're trying to absorb as much information and as much understanding as possible. But once I think you get to a point where you understand your role, understand what is expected of you, there's a little bit of that plateau that you're just not you're almost full. You're not seeking as much new information as you once did when you first started. Do you feel that's the case?
I think that there is always something to know. I'm someone who's always trying to seek knowledge because I don't think I know everything. So for me personally, I don't think there's a plateau. I don't know if later on in my career I'll feel that way, but I feel like there's so much more to learn, and I think that's why mentorship is also important. And I want to mention that IALEIA also offers mentorship for persons who are in the field who wants guidance, maybe from persons who are veterans in the field. I think that is very important to navigate the space because, as you would have mentioned, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes you're faced with circumstances in the job where you're like, okay, I did not know that. I did not know that. But I think that's why it's important to have mentors or being able to network with people who are in the field already, who understands the space or may have been around in the space for a longer time, who would have some know-hows and would be able to guide you accordingly. And it's important to have conversations and maybe even your podcast. When you listen to other people, you get to realize that there's some things that you did not know exist before now. I think the profession itself is evolving and more and more people are becoming analysts. Why is that? I believe there is room for growth. There's always something new. Crime is always evolving as well. Our criminals are changing the way they're doing things. So I think there's always something interesting to get to, and there's always some way to grow and something else to learn.
It's interesting as you brought up mentoring. So I guess from a new analyst perspective, is when would they go to seek a mentor versus going and joining the Emerging Professionals Group?
Okay, so that's a very good question. So the Emerging Professional Group we also have an apprenticeship program where we deal with like softer skills and presentation for persons who are seeking more advanced development in their profession. That's when you evolve into the IALEIA mentorship program. But that doesn't take away. So EPG does not take away from IALEIA and IALEIA mentorship. So they're both available for persons who, whether you want to build on your presentation or you want professional development, and that is available to them as analysts under IALEIA.
I got you. I would think that if you're seeking a mentor, you might have a more a target in mind in terms of a goal. For instance, if I wanted to be a manager, for instance, maybe I seek out a mentor that can help me develop the skills, become a manager. Or if there was additional tasks that I was working, if I was looking for certain technical skills, I might seek out a mentor in terms of that. Whereas the Emerging Professionals Group is more of a group base, right? Whereas the mentor-mentee is an individual relationship. That's one-on-one. This Emerging Professionals Group is a collective of newer analysts and trying to maybe answer some very short-term questions, quick questions, maybe solve some short-term goals that these new analysts might have. All right. So I really like the presentation aspect of it.
We're still growing, and we still need to know what the needs of our analysts are. So it's not a case where it's closed and rigid to say, okay, this is exactly it and this is it alone. We're open to understanding what the needs of our analysts are and being able to serve as best as we can.
No, yeah, that makes sense. I guess that where I was going with the presentation aspect of it, as I've been on this podcast now, we're 4+ years into the podcast here. I have certain soapboxes, certain pet peeves that that I feel that I talk about probably too much, and one of the topics is with training that we see a lot in law enforcement analysis, where it is the lecture-based training, where you'll have a presenter, fill a room full of analysts, and a bunch of information is talked about by the presenter, and then everybody goes home. And there is not a lot out there in terms of writing and presenting. And writing and presenting are going to be skills on almost every single analyst job announcement. And yet there's very few training offered anywhere on writing and presenting. So I am excited to hear that with this Emerging Professionals Group that there is this focus on presentation. So do you meet regularly? Do you meet online? Is there certain subsections, or is it one big group?
No, so we have a committee that consists of 5 persons who are analysts in the field. We also have persons on the committee who are more seasoned analysts as advisors to us. So, and in addition to the committee, we have our monthly webinars, and at the IALEIA conference, we'll have a special section for EPG members to meet and greet, where we get to know each other in the physical space, because most things are done online. As you know, IALEIA is an international association, therefore we're based all over the world. So what the conference does is allows us to come together as new analysts, where we can network in the physical space. But at this time, our meetings are virtual. It can be once a month, twice a month. That's what it is right now. But we have email addresses where you can communicate with the committee, so you can vocalize what your needs are. And also the webinars are open for question and answer, and also follow up and feedback where needs be.
All right. No, that's good. And even if, I guess the way I see it is even if you are doing a presentation online, it's still something. It's still something that you got to talk through. It's certainly not exactly the same if you're presenting face to face in a department. That's way more intimidating, getting up there in front of everybody face to face and
Indeed.
presenting. But at the same time, there's still an opportunity if you are presenting online. There's still a lot that can be learned by presenting online.
Yeah, I agree.
Looking to automate mundane tasks? What crime analyst isn't? I highly recommend Data Science for Crime Analysis with Python, written by Dr. Andrew Wheeler. And as a bonus, enter promo code LEAP, L-E-A-P, to get it $10 off either an ebook or paperback. Go to www.crimedecoder.com/store. That's Crime Decoder, CRIME-CODER.com. Again, enter promo code LEAP, L-E-A-P, for a $10 off coupon.
Hi, this is Shelagh Dorn. Do you want to build your credibility with field personnel, with police officers on the street? Get a candy dish, put it on your desk, and fill it with good candy. That's your opportunity to talk with people and engage. You can send out a million emails. People might know your name, but they don't really know you until you talk to them face to face. And that candy dish is an opportunity to talk with people and really get to know them.
And then, speaking of the conference, are you going to Vancouver?
Yes, hopefully I will be in attendance on April 7th to 11th of
Yeah.
2025. Yes.
Yeah. And so that's a good to bring that up, because for folks, especially you U.S. analysts, this is an opportunity to go to Vancouver IALEIA conference this spring. And so, hey, need to get that passport put together, because that is something you're obviously going to need if you're going to Vancouver. So that is a nice little reminder that either get your passport or get it renewed, as we're probably a couple months here, and they'll be talking about registration for the conference.
That's right.
All right. Well, that's exciting. All right, let's talk about the Jamaican IALEIA chapter. And I think it's interesting, the chapter scenario with IALEIA. They certainly have done pretty good job internationally of having these chapters as they relate to non-U.S. countries, and Jamaica being one of them. So from just your vantage point of being a member of the Jamaican chapter, what are you getting out of it? What are the things that you like? What are the things you're looking forward to?
So we have a very active chapter in Jamaica. Since I've been an analyst, I've been a member of IALEIA overall, and the Jamaica chapter. It's been very good and useful because we have our meetings, we have our webinars, we're still having trainings where we're continuously learning. There are also like articles to keep us informed of what is going on in the field and how we can learn. So there are always resources available to us. Also, every year there is a Jamaican contingent that goes to the IALEIA conference, and we have been benefiting tremendously from the experiences under IALEIA, attending these conferences and being able to gain knowledge and insight from these training events. Even though we're not based in the States, we're here in Jamaica, but we still have access to everything available under IALEIA.
All right. And then do you have a chance, since it's Jamaica and it's do you meet in person, or do you still meet online?
So we meet online and we meet in person.
Mm-hmm. How often do you meet in person?
As COVID kind of changed things for us, but I know we have things in the pipeline that I can't speak of right now, but we get to meet in person as regularly as we can at this time.
Yeah. No, it is a great opportunity to network and to get training, and just there's something that is just about that local feel that you want to make sure that get everybody on the same page, and make sure that you have all good sources and not all struggling on your own there, and
You know,
people have
I
similar
think we
problems.
have I think we have a very active chapter, or chapter president has been excellent. So we have been kept in the know. The Anything that goes out for IALEIA, we're informed. We have our monthly meetings. We are I don't think we're left out of what is going on in IALEIA pretty much.
Yeah, and I think you might not know this off the top of your head, but I think the way it works when you become a IALEIA member and you're filling out the application online, I believe there's a section there where you can sign up for a chapter. So if you're looking to sign up for IALEIA, look for that. But if you are already a IALEIA member and you're looking to get attached to a particular chapter, I'll put in the contact info, the person in charge of the chapters, so you can reach out to them and see how you get attached to the chapter nearest you. All right. All right. So let's get to the advice section now. What advice do you have for our listeners?
If you are interested in the field, I think you should come join us. The possibilities and opportunities are there. It can be very exciting and rewarding when you see how your work is impacting your community, your country, or even the world. Though the rewards can be great, it is a
Mhm.
profession that requires patience for it to be fruitful. But don't shy away from it. Try. You should give it a try if that's something that you want to do.
Yeah, no, that's funny. Think I think you're the first person that recommended patience, because you're
I mean,
you're right.
the patience is key, because in the field sometimes you don't get the results instantly. It's
Mhm.
something that you have to go at continuously before you see something coming out of what you did. But at the end of the day, when you reap that success, the reward feels great after.
Yeah, yeah, no, I that is actually great advice for analysts to be patient, and I am in that boat, because I do not have the patience that I probably should, especially when I think something's should happen so much faster than it does in a
Mhm.
police department. All right, good deal. I want to ask you about your master's degree. That's another topic that comes up on this program a lot. Is does analysts, or should analysts seek out master's degrees? And since you have a master's degree, I was kind of curious on your perspective of what you got out of the master's degree, how it applies to you as an analyst, and whether you would recommend folks get it.
Okay, so I was in the process of completing my master's degree before I started as an analyst.
Hmm.
I did a master's of business administration in human resource management. That is not what I do now as an
Hmm.
analyst, so I wouldn't say that the business degree helped me in analysis, but what I can say for the master's degree is that it helped me with my personal growth and development in terms of presentation, in terms of working in teams, in terms of being able to apply yourself in the workspace with people who are from different backgrounds and different experiences
Hmm.
in. Yeah, so the particular courses that I took may not have been like specific to the field of analysis, but in terms of the small takeaways that you have for these from this degree in particular assisted me in where I am right now. I've been exploring or looking at places or avenues where I can expand myself in the field of analysis. I am not seeing that many masters in the field, because I'm thinking I haven't done that much research. I'm
Hmm.
thinking that the masters in like analysis is maybe something that is new, if it's
Hmm.
so there are not that many things. So I cannot say that it's not helpful to get a master's degree, but I think it's useful to get certification because the field is growing, and I think employers are are going to want to see that you're able to do what it takes to be an analyst, because more and more persons are becoming an analyst. So what separates you from this person? Why should I hire you and not this person? If you come with this degree, and understand? Yes, pretty much. Probably can chop that out. But yes, I think having a master's is useful for your professional development, for the individual's professional and personal development.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of answers that I get to that question for those that have a master's degree in something like criminology or criminal justice is there's such a deeper understanding of statistics and data. And for the most part, from their undergrad days, their bachelor's degree days, they just didn't work with in depth on projects or with data. And once they got the master's degree, there was more teaching and understanding of what data can and can't do for you. That's
Well,
it. But it's interesting from your perspective. I actually like the answer. I understand it's an MBA and maybe not fully relatable to law enforcement analysis, but I do like your answer of like, hey, there was working with others, meeting deadlines, and problem solving was a lot of what you got out of it.
and being able to work under pressure. So there are different. I guess I'd call them soft skills that you're able to take away from these programs.
Yeah.
Even so, I always say that there's always something to learn. Maybe in the moment you're not sure if it's a lesson worth learning, but then when you're in the field, you realize, oh, okay, I'm able to apply myself because I would have done this, or I would have experienced that having done this course. For example, a course in the MBA program was transformational leadership, learning how to be a leader, how to lead a team. And I think these courses shape you to be in the field when you have to lead teams, or if you have to do projects and work in teams, pretty much.
Very good. All right. So let's move on to personal interest then. And we've buried the lead long enough. As mentioned, you are going to teach us all about netball. And after the prep call yesterday, I did look up a YouTube video on netball. Is netball popular in Jamaica, or how did you come across netball?
So netball is popular in Jamaica from I was in grade 4, I believe. That is, I think you'd call that, I'm not sure what you'd call that in your state, maybe not middle school, the school before middle school. What would you call that?
Elementary school?
Elementary school. So from that level, we were introduced to that. You'd call yours physical activity. We have something called physical education, PE, where we'd have to do some kind of sports. So we're either running, playing football, playing netball, playing cricket. So from that tender age, we're introduced to the most of the popular sports in Jamaica, and netball would be one. So I started playing from grade 4. Grade 4 is about 7, 8, 9, about 9, 9 years old. And then I transitioned to high school and I was still playing netball. So I've been playing it for quite some time.
All right. So how do you explain netball to somebody that doesn't know what netball is?
For those familiar with basketball, since basketball is a more popular sport, I think I would compare it to basketball. It's kind of difficult to explain without showing. You pretty much toss the ball around, and the aim is to score in the basket, as you call it for basketball. For netball, you don't have a backdrop, and it's a non-contact sport. Yes, the aim is to shoot, just like in any other sport, and the team with the most points at the end of the game will be the winner. I'm not sure if anyone will understand this explanation, but I would pretty much compare it to basketball.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna try to like one up you based on the one YouTube video that I watched. But what I would add to that for just our listeners, what I got out of it, what the video that I watched is, she's right, it's like basketball, and so there is the area that what looked like that would be inside the 3-point line for those that are familiar with basketball. But there's only they have zones in which players have to stay in that zone. So not everybody can be within the 3-point line area. Is it only one player from the offensive team can be inside that area?
There's a circle, and there's only two persons who would be shooting the ball can be in that area, and two defenders from the opposing team can be that area. So in total, there's a total of 4 persons in that area, the circle, the semicircle, as we call it.
Yeah.
The goals, we call it the goal circle.
The goal circle. So that would be what I'm referring to inside the 3-point line is the goal circle. And you also there's no dribbling, and you only have you can only hold the ball for 3 seconds before you have to pass it.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, but there were some similarities that I did pick up besides the net there, that as you're throwing the ball, if both the offensive player and defensive player kind of catch the ball at the same time, there's this jump ball situation that goes on.
They call it a toss to determine who would get the ball. Yes.
Yeah. In a way, it reminds me a little bit of football in that you have certain sections that you have to stay, right? Like there's three different zones to the court.
So football, right? We call it offside as well. If you are not on the side and you're supposed to, we call it offside.
Right. Yeah. And I say but I don't know very much about football. I'll be honest with you. It was funny when years ago when I was in my 20s, I worked at an after-school program for the YMCA, for those that U.S. that are listening to this, and I was supposed to teach soccer, but I never played or did soccer my entire life. But I was teaching like 5th graders, which would have been a year older than I think what you were just referencing. And I didn't have to hardly do anything because these kids knew exactly how to play it. And I didn't really, it was just recreational anyway. So it wasn't like I was coaching them. They just played, right? But they didn't know it, but they taught me way more about soccer than I taught them. But anyway, my general understanding of football is similar in terms of like staying in those, and the idea of offsides and not being where you're not supposed to, so kind of thing. So it's fascinating. So I will, for our listeners, I will put in the link to the YouTube video that I watched. So I definitely don't want to come off as an expert after watching a 7-minute video on netball. But so do you still play now?
Yes, I play, not professionally. Yeah. I play for fun.
Now, is that something that is mixed gender, or do you do all female?
There are male teams, but for fun, there's mixed gender. I think we have a national men team and a women team. So I think it can be mixed, but I don't think the mix play together professionally.
Yeah. So when you play for the rec league, what position do you play, or what zone are you in?
So I'm in the center court. So I would play wing attack, center, goal attack, wing defense from in the center court.
Yeah. So when you're in the center court, you're obviously, when you're on offense, you're trying to move the ball down to score, and then when the other team has the ball, you're obviously looking to defend in that center area.
We try to get the ball down to our shooting area, to our scoring area. So from the center, it goes to, in a good play, from the center to the wing attack, and then to our shooter in our area, so in that third.
Yeah. So it seems like it could be pretty rapid fire a little bit too, because you're not dribbling, you're not holding the ball for more than 3 seconds. It's pretty fast paced. Like it's go. There's not much downtime.
No, I mean, it's up to the players to make the game a little bit slower, but for the most part, it's fast paced.
So
in a full game, you'll have I think 45 minutes. You'd play 15 minutes a quarter, then you'd have a break. Then you have halftime, and then you have another break. Almost like basketball, except basketball has way too many breaks. But there are breaks in between.
Yeah. So for your rec league, just for a general understanding, what is an average score, like a final score of a game?
final score, you have teams going up to 60. You have, I mean, it depends on the team you're playing against, the skill level of the teams. If the skill level is not balanced, if one team is more skilled than the other, I mean, the scores go on.
Did you say 16?
60, or, I mean, it depends on how, as I said, depends on the skill level and how fast they play. But it's just how many you can score in the time allotted.
Yeah, and it's just, and every time you put the ball in net, it's one.
That's
right?
one. That's right.
Yeah. So that would be a lot. And so, but no, I think it is interesting that 60 is the average. So that's a pretty fast pace for that time that you just described to put in there. That would be each team putting it in the basket 60 times. So that's
So it would be, so that I'd give you the score of the winning team. So maybe the other team is not scoring any, and the winning team is the one scoring all the goals. So it depends it depends on this.
But if it's 60 to 50, for instance, that's still the other team scoring 50 times, putting the basket in 50 times.
I think it's highly unlikely for the team to be 60-50 for a close game. For a close game, maybe maybe 30-30 or 30-30. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I see. So 60 would be like a blowout. Would be a blowout.
Would be a blowout.
I got you. All right. Well, very good. All right. See, I could talk about this for another half hour, but I'll end it there. So, all right, Vanessa. Well, our last segment of the show is Words to the World, and this is where you can promote any idea that you wish. What are your words to the world?
What is important is not where you start or how you start, but how you finish. Things may look blurry at the beginning, but gradually, if you keep showing up and putting in the work, things will become clearer day by day. So just start.
Well,
that's it.
Very good. Well, I leave every guest with you've given me just enough to talk bad about you later. But I do appreciate you being on the show, Vanessa. Thank you so much, and you be safe.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for making it to the end of another episode of Analyst Talk with Jason Elder. You can show your support by sharing this and other episodes found on our website at www.leapodcasts.com. If you have a topic you would like us to cover or have a suggestion for our next guest, please send us an email at leapodcasts@gmail.com. Till next time, analysts, keep talking.